Hello, everyone. Let's get started. Thank you very much for joining us today. Today, we want to focus on how to increase safety and efficiency with our latest SAP Leonardo solution called Connected Worker. Therefore, we are starting off with a brief introduction of SAP Leonardo. It will help to better understand the SAP's IoT platform and its value proposition. After we went through those basics, we will focus on Connected Worker use case itself. First, by having a look at the idea behind, and then also followed by a deep dive into the solution itself. And we will be also demonstrating the solution in the end. Before we get started, let me briefly introduce ourselves. So my name is Matthias.Hollenders. Since around 10 years, I'm working in the SAP space, focusing on SAP supply chain management and IoT. In my current role, I'm leading our global IoT practice. With me, I have my colleague phil.azanov, who has a very strong background in SAP supply chain management with applications of IoT, and is now leading our IoT business development in the Americas region. Last but not least, I'm very happy that Christian Polivka from SAP joined us, who is the director of EHS solution management and works in the environment, health and safety environment since more than 18 years, both on business and IT side. Having Christian in our webinar, we have a great opportunity to get to know some innovations in the EHS space from SAP before we start with one of those, which is the Connected Worker. Let's get started with Christian giving us some interesting insights into some innovations in the EHS space.
Thanks a lot, Matthias. So I really wanted to keep that brief and not taking too much time of this current webinar. The objective of this slide is just to give you an overview. As said, I'm responsible on a global basis for the EHS portfolio when it comes to the go-to-market and the overall solution strategy. SAP has a strong background in that area, so more than 20 years, and we currently in the third generation of this application. On the left side here, you see actually the products which we are providing, and the blue boxes are indicating the processes which we are covering here. So for EHS practitioners, there should be everything what they are concerned about. So I'm not going into the details of these individual processes. It's our basic stuff, which we are pretty strong in. What our customers really appreciate is what is indicated here on the bottom of that slide, which is labeled with supporting applications. So all our EHS solutions are natively integrated into the ERP, so the enterprise resource planning, the SAP systems. That means we share the same objects when it comes to personnel information, human resource, or assets. It's internal employees as well as external employees. So there is no hassle around interfaces and getting data from somewhere else. So that makes us pretty unique and strong in the same way. But as already said, I'm also looking into the future. So I'm responsible for the solution strategy. And there I want to draw your attention on what is marked here in yellow, what is called also intelligent EHS. So how do we from SAP help our customers to really get better and reach the next level when it comes to safety performance? And here we have great opportunities to leverage the SAP latest technologies. And this is what we do also with partners like Westernacher together. So the Connected Worker is just one of the scenarios we're currently working on, but obviously one with a huge potential. Before I hand over back to Matthias, I also wanted to quickly give you an idea, the look and feel of our latest generation of application. And this is what you see here. The use case is basically you have a technician, a maintenance worker, some person who goes to machinery or equipment, and he wants to have all the background information. What's the safety situation here? So basically the person has this app. He can enter the location or can also use barcode scanning. And that is really performing very strong. So in the recording, you haven't even seen it, but it recognized the barcode, and then it pulls all the information from the EHS applications, from the backend system, which are the information which is attached to this equipment. So you see controls, risk coming from the risk assessment, but also information on past incidents or safety observations. So it really gives the person a good idea what happened here, and also what kind of chemicals. Even he's able to look in detail into certain documents which are attached here. Could be the safety data sheet or safety instruction. And as said, this is really specific to this particular equipment. So he can drill down into this document. And so far, we just have seen the EHS information. But as said, we are highly integrated into all of the operations in the company with the SAP footprint. So we are able to bring the operational context also to the frontline worker, speaking of what kind of maintenance is ongoing or what kind of operations are currently running, as this might also heavily influence the safety situation. So that just as a quick view on how our solutions look like. And you can imagine that it's really exciting what I just showed you to push that proactively to the frontline worker if we have such a connected scenario. And this is basically what Westernacher did with their solution based on the SAP technology. So let's hand over back to Matthias.
Okay, thanks a lot, Christian. Now let's cover the basics of SAP Leonardo IT and its value proposition. In general, SAP Leonardo is seen as the innovation platform of SAP. It enables you to run intelligent processes and consists of various topics such as machine learning, blockchain, advanced analytics, and certainly the topic that we're focusing today, Internet of Things. All these innovation applications run on top of the SAP Cloud Platform. When focusing on IoT, SAP's offering can be described as a platform as a service. And this means a strong focus on the platform that consists of all relevant technical services for device management, onboarding, protocol support, plus its integration into backend processes. Based on that powerful platform, SAP partners and customers are then able to leverage templates to build their own IoT applications. One thing to highlight here is that in addition to the cloud platform, SAP also strongly focuses on edge processing, something which is key in IoT scenarios, meaning that majority of information is already pre-processed, filtered, enriched, maybe with some light logic locally at the thing. This means, for example, that before sending data into the cloud, we'll process data directly locally at the worker, at the forklift, or whatever thing is part of your scenario, and will then only send relevant data into the SAP Cloud Platform. The value of SAP Leonardo IoTs lies in its end-to-end vision. Here we see the idea of the bimodal architecture with, on the one hand side, the digital core with all essential processes running like finance, warehousing, transportation, environment, health and safety, etc. And on the other hand side, the innovation platform with the SAP Leonardo ecosystem of those innovative applications in the area of big data, machine learning, blockchain, and certainly IoT. To leverage the true potential is absolutely key to bring those two worlds together. To plug in the innovation into the stable end-to-end process to build those powerful connected scenarios. In the connected worker scenario, this means not only simply monitoring, for example, gas levels and biometric data, but bringing this into context with relevant information like permits in EHS, the required safety equipment, which is derived from SAP, we have just seen, dependent on, for example, the current production plan, and much more. So only by bringing data into context, these IoT scenarios become very powerful. And this is where we see the huge value of SAP's offering. As we now understood the basic idea of IoT and SAP's positioning, let's have a look at the use case for connected worker. So what is it that we want to achieve with a connected worker? Well, certainly it's safety which we want to increase by continuously monitoring risks and hazards, but also compliance by, for example, streamlining the permit process, ensuring that workers have the correct permit before starting their task. Then there is efficiency by bringing everything that is required by the worker into their awareness automatically, such as an automatic allocation of tasks to the worker, plus information of the safety equipment is required. Certainly also protected is one key aspect. So we want to monitor that the worker is using the correct safety equipment for the environment and task at hand. The use case of connected worker can be clustered into four main aspects. One of the key aspects is position monitoring for indoor and outdoor activities, so that hazards, accidents, danger zones, etc., can be directly seen on the map. They can be also localized them properly. And using geofence, we can, for example, identify zones where special qualifications might be required. The second one is safety and health monitoring. This is where we use the integration of hardware like gas detectors, smart shirts, smart watches, but also cameras to, in the end, monitor exposure to gases, faults, noise, stress, etc. And as we're talking about the safety of human life, we have to leverage the edge processing capabilities properly that SAP offers as much as possible, basically, meaning that we need to keep kind of personal shield for the worker so that the scenario can run even in the super rare case that there's an issue with the connectivity to the cloud platform. So this is absolutely key. With dashboards and rules, it's possible to oversee the operations to ensure compliance at all times. This includes analytics such as heat maps of hazards or close to accidents, incidents, or the overview of gas exposure, etc. Last one, and I think most important one, to also stand out from other connected worker solutions, is integration into the SAP backend systems. And by integrating into various EHS processes, into SAP plant maintenance, etc., we can heavily increase, for example, efficiency, the digitalization, and automation, for example, as well. Looking a bit closer into that aspect, what we see is that we integrated into EHS and are covering various scenarios. As already mentioned, one of them is the permit process, where we would trigger the request of a specific permit from connected worker, can monitor the process, and in the end we'll see the permit and its details in the app. Same for the required safety equipment, dependent on the task of the worker that the worker is selecting. In that case, the relevant safety equipment is dynamically pulled from EHS. And so we can better analyze and monitor with that whether a worker is using the required equipment properly. The exposure to gas is also directly updated in EHS, as well as any events or incidents that are happening, like faults, etc. So EHS has always real-time information and documentation. And what we see is only one integrated SAP module. As mentioned, we also integrate into the others, such as HR or plant maintenance and many more. Let's have a look at the solution itself. So the solution consists of two things. First of all, it's the platform itself that we built. It consists of a mobile app, a pre-developed mobile app that runs on Android. It covers features like the onboarding of devices, so meaning also the easy activation of devices. For example, once you have a shift change, that one worker takes over the gas detector of another one just by scanning, for example, a QR code or using NFC. We also have the capability of tracking then data live, tracking those events happening. So events are any extreme things that we are measuring, like, for example, a fall or extreme noise levels, etc. Those things would then trigger these kinds of events. We also, in this mobile app, have the capability of using task management. We pull tasks basically from plant maintenance system. So the worker can, in this app, select the tasks, and as what we have seen already in the presentation from Christian, with the task also showing up what is the required safety equipment that needs to be used for this task. Then there is also alerting and communication functionality, which means that either the device itself is giving an alert due to the fact that we are beyond a certain gas level. It can be also that we have, from a central point of view, communication to all workers happening. So this means it's a communication either from the app or a communication that comes from a central place. And also something to mention is the permit management. So within the mobile app, something we also see later on, you can request permits. You can monitor the whole process of the approval of those permits, and then you see those permits being active, also with a deadline until they become inactive. The next one is the dashboard. So apart from the mobile app, which is being used locally by the worker, we have a capability of using dashboards. So we have a standard dashboard developed with an overview of all workers and their events and alerts that are happening. So imagine you have a workforce of, I don't know, let's say 20 people. You can monitor all of those 20 workers centrally in one dashboard, and can identify if exposure levels are too high, or if someone had an accident or close to accident. All of these things can be centrally overseen. Then there's also location tracking. So we have the map also available in the dashboard, where you can see then, okay, where are my workers, where are incidents happening, and certainly also the capability of using KPIs, analytics. And again, as mentioned, we will see some further details later on in the demo. Workflow, also something very important, part of the standard platform that we built, gives you capability to trigger some activities to inform someone, etc., etc. Then on top of the platform, there are those scenario-based capabilities of the solution, meaning that dependent on your scenario, dependent on the systems that you have available as the backend system, you can trigger various different scenarios. Like, for example, what we mentioned already, in EHS, incident management can be integrated, where incidents will be reported, health and safety for the risk management part, then the EHS maintenance safety area for the permit management, and certainly also other applications from SAP, like, for example, intelligent asset management, where we would see also things like plant maintenance or tasks for the workers. And something also very important to highlight, this the solution also can be easily extended in a way that it can be leveraged also for other IoT scenarios. For example, connected forklift or connected fleet, where you also work with kind of collision management or collision prevention, where you have the localization also happening of your forklifts or your fleet. So it somehow gives you also a platform for further extensions. So, do you want to take over? I think you're now back.
So yeah, we have health and fitness devices that are there to monitor the condition of the workers, so they can look at things like heart rate, respiration. And it's not just about recording when critical values for heart rate and respiration have been exceeded, but it's also about looking at trends and being able to prevent a worker from getting into a state where they're overworked or fatigued. Then we also have location, where we can leverage GPS technology for outdoors or indoor tracking like ultra wideband indoors to know the location of workers. And that's important for a couple reasons. One is when we talk about having proper certification regulating access to sensitive areas. Another one is in, for example, if there is an accident such as a flood or earthquake or whatever, if we're in like a mining scenario, you're able to know the location of your workers and make sure that they're in a safe location. And finally, when we talk about worker performance and safety, it's again comes together with the location. Now we have air quality, and we've worked with partners like Drager to connect their devices to our IoT solution. And a device like Drager has always been reliable, consistent, and that's why they're an industry leader. But where the connected worker solution takes this to the next level is in not just being able to trigger an alarm when a critical value is exceeded, but then to in real time identify trends and then track when not just when a worker is in danger, but when they are approaching danger. And then we also can connect to safety devices. So this is hard hats, harnesses, and making sure that the workers are, one, using those devices, and two, using them correctly. So for example, with harnesses, when we're talking about 3-point harnesses, often workers might only be connecting one carabiner to their anchor point, when in fact they need to be connecting two. And using connected worker, you're able to identify those situations and make sure your workers are using the safety equipment properly to prevent accidents. And so in order to use the connected worker solution, we have a mobile app. And this mobile app, we're going to demo it in a video and live shortly, but it's able to make sure that the worker is aware of the readings of their devices, make sure they know which tasks they have to complete, and also make sure that they have the correct permits in order to complete those tasks. In addition to the mobile app, which is more the operational interface, we also have a dashboard, and this dashboard is then used for overall monitoring, analytics, and improvement of safety based on the information that's coming from your workers and the devices that they are using. And we're going to demo that as well. And so from an architecture standpoint, we have our connected worker app. These devices can be connected to edge processing via the app, or they can be connected to edge processing directly. Through the edge processing, it connects to Leonardo IoT, where we leverage the different technologies available in SAP Leonardo. And we also integrate with things like environmental health and safety, plant maintenance, asset intelligence network, and also analytics cloud for the purpose of the dashboard. And so this dashboard right here is different ways that you can visualize what's going on with your workers. So you have the map. So this is incredibly important in the lone worker scenario, or in mines where, say, we want to identify if all workers are in safe locations, incidents or blasts. Looking at trends, are there less events, more events? Really, the idea behind the dashboard is to take your business case, visualize it, and set you up in order to make improvements in worker safety. Now we're going to look at our app. So let me know when start. Okay. So here the user logs in. We're just kind of speeding it up not to waste too much time. And here the user then starts onboarding devices. And so this is one of the really important parts of the solution, because our goal is to make it as easy as possible for users to connect these devices. Because again, they're more likely to use the solution correctly and efficiently if it's easy to use. So usability is a big focus of this. So here the only thing that they have to do is scan a barcode and the devices are onboarded. Here you can then look at the status of the different devices and also readings that the devices are providing. So here, the Garmin, you can see the different values that's providing. The drug or gas detector, you can see the different values that it's providing. And you can also see, here we're looking at oxygen and it's an acceptable level. And then finally, we have the third device right here, the carbon monoxide. And you can see it's that easy to then disconnect the device. So let's say the device is giving a false reading and you want to stop stray alarms, you can disconnect the device. Next, you also have task management. So you can see that the user here has started a task, and this can integrate with SAP's Task Manager and the Asset Intelligence Network. And you're able to then have one connected worker solution that is integrated with the different components of SAP. Jump a little ahead. And so the next thing that we're going to see is that we're able to trigger a fallen alarm. And so here the worker is able to see these events. And also, for example, we can trigger a call to a supervisor in the case of that event. Next, you have the permitting process. So I'm going to show a live kind of demo of the app because we added some functionality since we made this video, but you're able to see which permits are required for tasks, and then you're able to then request those permits. And so again, you have an overview on your screen. And let's jump over to the live app so we can also show that we are showing you a real developed app, not some mock-up video that we put together. So we're going to jump to the app. And so here you can see the same login screen. And one thing that's important to remember is your existing security identification management technology can be integrated with the app so you can use what you have today. So we talked about the task management, and so you can see right here, you're able to look at what permits you have, and you're able to also request permits. Now let's say you go to begin a task. You're able to see what permits are required. So let's say you don't have the welding permit yet, you're able to go back and request the welding permit. You're also able to see, similar to what Christian showed in the EHS app, the different safety equipment that is required, and you're also able to see whether it is connected or not. So let's jump back to the presentation. And so here you can see some of the different devices that we have already worked with to integrate with our connected worker solution. And so just kind of a disclaimer, these devices are examples, and a huge part of, an IoT implementation is the vendor selection process for the hardware. And, we're more than happy to play an active part in that. But so here you have Hexoskin, which is heart rate monitoring, respiration monitoring, Garmin and Pepperl Fuchs, which is an intrinsically safe smartwatch for GPS and heart rate monitoring. Pepperl Fuchs is also providing a intrinsically safe smartphone from which you can run the app. Drager, which we mentioned before, Marvel Mind for indoor location tracking, and then also Kinexon is another indoor location tracking hardware provider we've worked with. Seen the demo, and thank you so much for your time.